You guys know what this is? It's a nose whistle. Check this out. Sorry, it was in the background. It distracted me. Book review! I can't clap because it will sound horrible. At last, book review will return. Last year I uploaded a video. I bet you didn't watch it. So I'm giving you a second chance. I want to help you guys out. It was talking about habits, how to take bad habits and replace them with good ones. I know this seems like some sort of productivity, schmidity, 2025 sigma bligma. I was trying to go beyond that and use ideas from philosophy to incorporate these ideas. And for me, it really worked. I picked up drawing. I've been sketching every day since. But that's just one of many things that I think at least I've learned from reading. Reading is something that I enjoyed as a kid. It's something I had also abandoned. Kind of like drawing, actually. It's something I enjoyed as a kid, but then I picked it up again and realized just how much I loved it. And it was the best thing I've ever done for myself, by far. Reading completely changed my whole perspective in life. I think it's just something incredibly valuable that I think everyone should experience. And that's why I've announced Book Review 2025. Because I want you guys to have the same journey, or if not, inspired to go on your own. All these books that we're gonna read, I've already read, but I will reread them with you. I don't wanna blame having a kid, but I have not read nearly as much as I used to this past couple of years, and I wanna get back into it as well. So I can't make any excuses, therefore you can't make any excuses. Now, I haven't really figured out how I'm gonna do this, but I realized the best way to make anyone do anything is through shame. Therefore, we will have a shame list for anyone that fails Book Review 2025. And also everyone that do complete Book Review 2025 will get a sense of beyond the infinite wisdom. Also a sense of Now, let's get into the books. The book list in January, we're gonna work our way this way. We're gonna start off super simple, baby level, Tao Te Ching. This is ancient Chinese wisdom. It's only 100 pages, but you could very easily finish it in one day, but we're not supposed to do that. We're gonna take our time with it. Hey, you can do whatever you want, who cares? It's hard to hold a book and a microphone. The reason I picked this book is because it's a really good soft start for rusty readers out there. I think it's very simple. It breaks down ancient wisdom in a nice, simple way. I kept saying simple. As you see, I've labored things in this because I think there are some passages that are just brilliant and that I keep coming back to. That's sort of a theme throughout all these books that I've picked. It's books that really resonated with me. I've learned stuff from them that I've incorporated in my life and that I like to revisit and rethink about and remind myself. And I think Tao Te Ching is just a great start of that. And if you want to do a head start, maybe let's say you finish this and you're like, okay, I want to move on. Obviously you can do that. Sorry to interrupt. I actually wanted to review a book really quickly. It's one that speaks highly to my heart and my soul. It's the book of the best VPNs on the planet, starting NordVPN only. Have you guys heard about this? Have you heard about NordVPN? This book draws heavily from my own personal life. The other day, for example, I was downloading legal Minecraft mods, and I felt like I was being watched. I don't know why. So I launched NordVPN, and my internet activity go poof. FBI agent go, where'd he go? And I could continue downloading my legal Minecraft mods safe and sound, knowing that NordVPN has a strict no logs policy. My internet business is my internet business, as it should be. Another example from this great book that correlates with my personal life is when I was watching legal Minecraft anime online, and all of a sudden, not allowed in your region? Björn nearly fainted. Marcia was crying. Luckily, I can always save the day with NordVPN. Bing, bam, boom. Connect to anywhere in the world. Get rid of any region blocks. The internet is open and free, as it should be. Thank you, NordVPN. Not just for being an amazing service, but for being an amazing sponsor to this channel for so long. This is what Björn does now. There's nothing to do with the ad. He thinks hello and bye is blowing a kiss.
I just realized I did the same. If you use my link in the description, you get 4 bonus month and a huge discount, the best offer you can get on NordVPN. And if you're not convinced, try it out for 30 days, money back guaranteed. I promise you will like it. Give it a shot. I've been using it for how many years now? Like, I know they're paying me, but I'm actually paying to use it myself. I'm happy to sponsor products that I actually use myself. So thank you, NordVPN. Check out nordvpn.com/PewDiePie. The link is in the description. Let's continue with the book reviews.
The second book is in the Buddha's words. I've talked about this book so much because it's an incredible book. I hate using the word awakening for lack of a better one, and that's all I'm going to use because it really was an awakening experience for me to read this book. I never examined myself in such a way, and it's funny, the book seems almost aware of this itself, where most of us throughout our lives go through our days, and it may be in our entire existence, for many existences as Buddhism believes, where we're drawn to sensational pleasures, we're drawn to all these distractions without fully examining our lives and our purpose and what we're doing. And when you read it, you get that understanding and you look at yourself, obviously. First you look at yourself, but then you look at the whole world and you realize you want everyone to sort of stop and go, no, wait, let's, what are we doing here? Let's rethink this. What is our purpose? Come on. To me, there's just something so tragic about living your life without examining it. It taught me so much about sensational pleasure, especially. I'm Mr. Dopamine, okay? I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, but there's almost this romanticized idea of a sad man at a bar, hunched over with a drink. Like there's something cool about it, smoking a cigar. These things are not cool. That's sad. All of that is sad, and not a sad in that wow, so sad kind of way. Just bad. Don't romanticize these things, you know what I mean? Being drawn to these sensational pleasures, you can free yourself completely from them. I'm speaking way more about this than I thought I would, but here we are. You are just binding yourself to different things that you don't need, and by uprooting these issues, you'll completely be free from them. I used to think about drinking alcohol every single day. Now it has zero control over me. There's so much in Buddhism that ties into what we're going to go into later as well. But moving on, January, February, March, you can pick whatever you want. I think every 3rd month I will let you guys decide. I think the point of reading is not just to blindly follow what someone laid up in front of you. It's about finding your own curiosities. Okay, you read this, I'm interested in maybe expanding on this or reading something different. Maybe I hated it and this is not for me. That's part of your own discovery. I will announce which books I will read, but I see them sort of outside of the list. They might be maybe too advanced for some of you. Sounds so demeaning, like you dummies. I'm gonna read, maybe I'll do Meditations of First Philosophy by René Descartes. I never read René. There's a couple philosophers that I just never touched, and I just feel like I should read them. So that's what I picked for March. Moving on with the book list, January, February, March, April. I don't know the months unless I count them in order. Another book I've talked about so much. We're gonna read Epictetus, Discourses and Selected Writings. If you for some reason haven't read this with the amount of yapping I've done about this book, you gotta do it now. I think if I had to pick one book out of all of these, one book to rule them all, I would pick The Enchiridion. Literally means handbook. It is the handbook of Stoicism. It is the simplest way to ever explain Stoicism. People mostly associate Stoicism with Marcus Aurelius or maybe Seneca, and Aurelius obviously is an incredible story. I think his life is more interesting, and obviously he talks about Stoicism, which is amazing, and he lived Stoicism, which is amazing. But just take the Enchiridion. It puts it so beautifully and so simply, and I think everyone can benefit from these ideas. They are similar to Buddhism in the sense of it's in a way of avoiding suffering. I've been very fortunate and privileged. There hasn't been much times where I even feel like I need Stoicism, but reading Stoicism, it almost feels like I put on this armor. Like I'm ready for anything. Whatever life is going to give me, I'll be ready for it. And that's how Stoicism changes your perspective. Instead of fearing misfortune, you sort of look at it as, this gives me a chance to show my virtue and what I've learned. I remember there was a book I read about an American soldier that crashed his plane over Vietnam during the war. And he had started Stoicism, and as he was shot down and falling in his parachute, he thought to himself, this is my chance to practice what I've learned from Stoicism, because he knew how they would torture soldiers, and they did. Okay, I'm gonna have to speed up because Bjorn is gonna nap soon. Next up, we have Plato the Republic. If you think I've yapped a lot about Epictetus, I've actually realized I yapped way more about Plato's The Republic. I made a 40-minute video talking about this book. I love it so much. I think it is also a really good introduction to philosophy because it covers so many areas. The whole premise of the book is Socrates is discussing with Glaucon. They're trying to find the definition of justice. Since it's something that they're trying to discover together, it makes you feel part of this philosophical discussion. Like you're transported into this the same room as the greatest mind of all time, and you get to experience and join this discussion. What other medium could do that but literature? It's just so incredible. I feel so fortunate to even be reading this book. It examines the human soul, but then goes into a macro level, and they try and examine, okay, so to answer this question, we need to examine what is the ideal way of running a society. Yeah, it goes into all these amazing and interesting ideas. Some are a little bit weird, actually, now I think about it. I feel like I shouldn't say I enjoy this book too much.
Big disclaimer. I do not agree with every single idea that this author has. A necessary 2019 disclosure, everyone.
And then in the end, it ties it all together in this beautiful depiction of the afterlife and rebirth, kind of like Buddhism as well, and what sort of life they want to live. And it answers that question in the end, and I just think about it all the time. I absolutely love it. It's an amazing book. I'm just so excited for you guys. Genuinely. Anyway, third month, free. I'm gonna read Kant. Critique of Pure Reason. I feel like I have to read Kant. I tried a while ago. I think I got a third in, and I stopped for whatever reason. It is extremely dense literature. Like I do not necessarily recommend casual readers to pick this one up. I read a bit about Kant, and I found him to be more interesting than his work. He was just mega autistic. He's basically Sheldon Cooper, which makes for a lot of interesting and sort of silly things about his life. He had the famous philosopher walk every day at the exact same time, but he refused to speak to anyone. So if anyone tried to, he didn't want his lips to open because that would constitute as talking. So he would resort to making noises with his mouth like, It's just, I don't know, it's funny to me. I obviously know some ideas around him and his moral principles are quite famous. So I'm curious to read if his reasoning can sort of bring me over or not. I don't know.
Interjecting, I done a little bit more research about the books that I picked, because obviously I haven't read them, and I think it might be a little difficult to do Kant in just a month. So I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll do 2 months, or maybe I was trying to think the best way to do it, but then I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna try my best. If I fail, that's okay. I can pick it up at some other time or keep going. So I'm just saying this if you're deciding to read the same book, which I don't encourage, to be honest. But if you are, to be honest, I want you guys to pick your own interest. But yeah, just wanted to explain my reasoning.
Right. So next up, guess what? Another book I've talked about a ton. Aristotle, the Nicomachean Ethics. That sounds so advanced, but it's really simple. Do not be turned off from this. It is talking about happiness, how to be happy. What does it mean to be a good person? The Greek had this word for happiness, which is a beautiful word called eudaimonia, and it sort of translates vaguely to flourishing as an individual. And this is something I think about a lot, and I can sort of make sense out of it. I used this book a lot in my previous video that I talked about last year about the ideas of habit, because the Greeks understood habit and how it can lead to good virtues, while bad habit obviously leads to bad virtues. But it's not just about becoming this amalgamation. I almost used a tough word there, but I gave up. Amalgamation. Sort of this new millennia idea of how you should be. The more you achieve, the more you show people that you're doing. That is not the answer. If anything, that just leads to another attachment. But Aristotle talked about the golden mean and this sort of balance instead of your life. I'm looking forward to refresh my ideas on it. I think it's just incredibly useful and valuable for people to read. Next is more for me. You don't have to read this. I'll say you have to read a classic. I think so many people don't want to read classic literature, but that is just a huge mistake. I can never say it right. Don Quixote, The Count of Monte Cristo, Moby Dick. Actually, I wasn't huge on Moby Dick. I read Catch 22 recently too, which is another classic. I just think that was hilarious. I loved it actually, but classic literature maybe seems a bit dull, but they are classic for a reason. Every time I read one, it's just an amazing experience. And my favorite, I don't know if it even counts as a classic, but my favorite is the Iliad. I love the Iliad so much. I've had such a weird experience with it because when I was a kid, I think around 11 or 12, I was so into the Troy War history. I don't know why. I think I read about it somewhere, like a comic version, and I wanted to know everything there was about it. How tall were the walls? I wanted to remember all the years. And then you find out about things that, you know, may or may not have happened, you know, with Achilles fighting Hector and all these things. I just thought it was so cool. I couldn't believe not everyone was talking about it. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. It was basically my Marvel of the time, you know? I was like, the gods are helping in all these battles? That's the coolest thing ever. And then finally in my 30s, I read the actual Iliad, and I thought, the gods are helping in the war? That's the coolest thing ever. I absolutely love it. Most people know the Iliad or associate the Iliad with the Trojan horse. Everyone knows about it. But surprisingly, it isn't in the Iliad. The Iliad ends completely differently. And to me, the ending of Iliad was so beautiful. It really struck me deeply. I remember when I read it, and I think most classics do. They really just hit you differently. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, I just thought it was so incredible, and I love reading it, and I want to reread it. So that's why I picked it. But I just encourage maybe picking a classic that you're interested in. It will be worth it. So next month, it's free. You can read whatever you want. I will read Arthur Schopenhauer. I think actually you can read it as well. It sort of makes sense to read before Nietzsche. I will read The World as Will and Representation. I think I've already read it, but I think I definitely need a refresher. Schopenhauer was the first, as far as I understand, the Western Buddhist. He wanted to escape suffering. And Nietzsche, we will read later, really looked up to Schopenhauer, but also critiqued him heavily. And I want to sort of better understand Schopenhauer and why, because I don't remember much. I don't even have the copy here. I left it in UK. So I look forward to reading Schopenhauer. And then we have October. I know, like, I'm the one who made the list, so obviously I'm gonna like all the books, but I'm like, this is so sick. I love this. All right, so next up, we're gonna go into Nietzsche. Thus spoke Zarathustra. I talked about this book in the video I made last year, a little bit. There are these ideas of will to power, the Übermensch, you've heard God is dead. This is all in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. Nietzsche is such an interesting character. He is the most misunderstood philosopher by far. And even amongst people that have a better idea of Nietzsche, everyone seems to disagree as well. But I understand. I understand Nietzsche, okay? I got it. I don't know. All these books that we read, by the way, so far, not all of them, but most of the philosophers, Nietzsche has shit on. He hated everyone. He had this hit list of philosophers, and he would attack them all the time. It's kind of funny. But I also saw it as, you criticize things that you like, in a sense. As much as I love Stoicism, and we will understand Stoicism once we got to Nietzsche, he did criticize Stoicism, and I think his criticism is actually fair. You know, Nietzsche is famously misunderstood as the poster boy for nihilism, when in reality, as you probably know now, is he fought for the opposite. He thought about this life. His life-affirming philosophy, to me, I think is so important. I don't remember if Zarathustra had that much of that idea in it, actually. I think it's more in the gay science. I know, it's a hilarious title of a book. I still think Zarathustra, if I had to pick one Nietzsche, it's a really good one to start on. Well, I don't know, it's a really good one to pick. Apparently, I don't know if it's true, I think it is, he was high on opioids when he wrote it. So it is vastly different from other books I read from him. But that also makes it very fun, I think. It's really fun to read. And I can't wait for you guys to experience it as well. Like all of these books. Next up, we're gonna finish with Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. Maybe it doesn't make sense to end on this. maybe it does make sense to end on this. I think I'll know once I reread it. It is the story of Buddha. There are different depictions of Buddha amongst Buddhism, but the more modern version, as far as I understand, is that he was a person that lived, went through difficulties and suffering just as we did, but then overcame it and became enlightened and became the Buddha. And that is the story of Siddhartha. So I think it's a beautiful book that I would highly recommend to anyone. It really surprised me, caught me out of nowhere. I had this horrible version of it from Amazon. Doesn't even have a proper spine. If anyone had a better version, if you want to give it to me, I would love it. And then finally, you're free. December, I'm gonna read Phenomenology of Spirit by Hegel, because I never read Hegel and I feel like I should. He just has such a boring face. I just assume he is equally boring. I think any one of these, Kant looks boring. Yeah, I'll say it. If he has a dumb face, probably his ideas are dumb too. It's like I learned nothing from all this. That is the 2025 book review. Imagine if all you have to do is spend, let's say the average of these books are 300 pages. They are probably a little bit more, but probably more or less. If you read 20 pages a day for 30 days, 2 minutes per page, probably less. Maybe, instead of going on your phone the first thing in the morning or before bed, replace that with the reading, and it will have no change in your productivity or what you're doing, but it will just vastly improve your life, and I guarantee it. Replace a bad habit with a good one. Let's do it. I'm so excited for you guys. I'm so excited for me. This is gonna be great. That's it. Hug. Come here.